Welcome back inside Melbourne Ball Park, and we're coming to you live from the merch store. Michael Dixon alongside Ed Wyatt. And Ed, we're here for one reason, and that's because they sold out of just about everything in here last night. Huge crowd, a great game, and I think in terms of overall experience at Melbourne Ball Park, last night might have been second to none.
Yeah, it was a magnificent night. Aces win, of course, always makes it a little bit better. But yeah, people were flocking here to the merch store, and why not? You've got hats, you've got shirts, all kinds of things you can buy. In fact, you've even got something you can buy. There we go. The famous beer bat that we often see people drinking out of during the broadcast. But it was a great night and a great win for the Aces, really getting back after dropping game one.
Well, let's talk specifically, though, about one guy. Greg Bird had the big three-run home run yesterday. He leads the league in home runs, RBIs. How good has he been?
He's been a great addition, as we talked about. What a great signing. He's been great with a bat, obviously great in the field, great clubhouse guy as well. So these guys are really coming together at the right time. Yesterday was a real team win, Michael. Pitching, hitting, fielding, just a really nice way to launch into this series.
Well, a quick question for you, and I just want to know, do you think the Aces have gotten better than any other team in the ABL from day one to today?
It's a great question. I mean, I haven't seen all the teams, but you'd have to put them up there. We did talk earlier in the year about the chemistry factor, right? You've got these guys coming from all around the world, come here, have to learn to play with each other. It really looks like they're starting to hit that groove. Certainly, if last night's game was anything to go by, they have hit the groove.
Well, we are playing two tonight, which means it's weird, a 5-game series. The reasoning behind that is, of course, that you have to make up the game from Adelaide 3 weeks ago. So the makeup game here in game one will actually be one in which the Aces are the road team. How strange is that?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's one of those things we talk about coming to the ballpark and see something you don't see every day. Last night, the Jordan McArdle home run that hit the top of the fence and then went over. You don't see that very often. Now you've got the home team on the road in their home stadium. So that's one we're going to have to keep an eye on. Challenge for us as broadcasters, we've got to remember that as well. The Aces will hit first. Adelaide will have the last chance.
That'll be very interesting. And one last thing, too, Scott Harkin. We haven't seen much of him, but he'll actually get to start in game one. And if the Shark has been successful, it's been at Melbourne Ball Park, an ERA just north of 1.5. How big is this start for him?
Yeah, I think it's big. We talked about it when Adelaide starts slowly. They struggle to come from behind. So if Scott can shut them down early and the Aces can get some runs, we'll be in pretty good shape.
Well, that's Ed Wyatt. I'm Michael Dixon, the rest of our fantastic Sportscast Australia crew. You're watching the Brick Lane Brewing Company pregame show ahead of Game 1, up to a doubleheader live on Aces TV. Oh, with the sun trying to peek through here in Altona, we're ready for Game 1 of a doubleheader. It's the Melbourne Aces and the Adelaide Giants, and the biggest series in the ABL so far continues on with Games 3 and 4 here this evening. Michael Dixon, Ed Wyatt, the rest of our Sportscast Australia crew with you. And folks piling in, we should see another big crowd for not one but two games here at Melbourne Ball Park. This will be a weird one, though, because, Ed, this is a makeup from a game that was washed out in Adelaide 3 weeks ago. So in Game 1, it says guests and home. Melbourne will actually be the guests. Adelaide is at home, and the Giants are currently taking the field. How weird is that?
This is very strange. Michael, great to see you again. Doubleheader, first game, 7 innings. Second game, 9 innings. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is essentially an Adelaide Giants home game, which really doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense, but they're going to give it a go anyway. So the Aces will bat first, and for all intents and purposes, we could be in South Australia right now. So maybe turn your clocks back a half an hour, grab yourself a West End draft, and pretend you're in Adelaide at the moment.
That's a good point. The curtain raisers actually take the field with the Giants. I wonder if they're asking for their money back or something like that. We'll step aside. We got both lineups next. This is Game 1 of 2, a doubleheader. The Giants and Aces here on Aces TV. Well, we are ready for game number 1 of this doubleheader, game 3 of this 5-game series. The Melbourne Aces and the Adelaide Giants. Michael Dixon, Ed Wyatt, the rest of our Sportscast Australia crew coming to you live from Melbourne Ball Park in Altona. Well, because the Aces are the road team in game 1, this feels weird. We'll still meet the starting lineup as we normally do, and we'll go left to right in the outfield. Again, the Aces will take the field defensively in the bottom of the first. And they'll look like this in left field. It's Jimmy Kerrigan. He was the DH in his debut last night, so he makes his first defensive start here in game 1. Aaron Whitefield, no surprise there. The center fielder, he has been spectacular and starting to steal a lot of bases as well. In right field, Zion Bannister made a really nice running catch into the corner of last night's 8-3 win. So Vanny back there in right field. Daryl George has been fantastic this year. He's the third baseman. And he and Robbie Glendening on the left side of the infield. Glendening at short. They have been, for my money, the best left side of the infield in the ABL this season. Second baseman is Jared Dale for the second consecutive game. We'll see if we get George Khalil in game 2 of this doubleheader. Greg Bird with an insane home run yesterday. A 3-run homer that cleared the first row of cars out there in right field. We'll be talking about that for a long time. He's the first baseman once again. How about Declan Spears? The youngster hasn't played much, but he is catching here in game 3. Got to give Mitch Edwards a break at some point. And the DH in game number 1 of doubleheader is Chris Burke. Burke was the left fielder yesterday. Starting pitcher, we'll see him in the bottom of the first inning. That is Scott Harkin. So Harkin will take them out for the Aces for the first time in a starting capacity since we saw him November 30th against Brisbane. And that is how Melbourne lines up. Adelaide, again, has already taken the field because the Giants are the home team in game number 1 of this doubleheader. But here's how the Giants line up, and pretty similar lineup to what we saw in yesterday's game. Nick Ward, the third baseman, is leading off. Liam Simpson, left field. Rickson Wingrove, the first baseman, batting third. Lattimore DH and cleaning up. McCardle, the right fielder, once again. Josh Altman at short. Kendall Simmons, the second baseman. Andrew Nava catching. Briley Knight, the center fielder. And Braden Fausnot is the starting pitcher. So this just feels so weird for the Aces to step to the plate. That walk-up music coming in the top of the first inning. But those are some great Adelaide uniforms, I might add. A vibrant blue as we get ready for game 1 of this doubleheader. 7 innings in game 1, 9 innings in game 2, 16 innings of Ed and myself this evening. And thanks so much for making us a part of your Saturday. First pitch is outside. We're underway at 5:01. I've got Ed.
Indeed, Braden Fausnot on the mound, another Pennsylvanian. Grew up 2.5 hours away from Philly. He's a left-hander, 6'3", and another one of those guys in the Phillies organization.
7th appearance for the lefty, 3rd start. 3 consecutive starts now for him. And his 2nd consecutive start in game 1 of a doubleheader. Started game 1 of a doubleheader in Perth last weekend. This year, 3-2 with a 3.71 ERA, 17 innings, 18 hits, 9 runs, 7 earned, 6 walks, 16 strikeouts. So he's been pretty good. 2 balls and a strike. Bannister tries a bunt, and he pops this foul over the head of Aaron Whitefield on deck. 2-2.
Interesting. He was working on bunting in batting practice today. So very interesting to see that. Little move around. We mentioned on the Adelaide, Spence, who was at shortstop, is in left field. Altman comes back in. He didn't play yesterday. And then Briley Knight, who also didn't play yesterday. He was in right field in game 1. He's in center tonight. McCardle continues, as you mentioned, in right field.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Zion Bannister retired to begin things. His first strikeout in the series. Banny with a 5-game hitting streak and a good start for the left-hander Fausnot. Interesting story, Fausnot. He had an outstanding collegiate career at Westchester University in Pennsylvania.
Just outside of Philly?
And just outside of Philly. Yeah. Actually undrafted, but then signed with the Phillies. A Phillies fan to pitch organization. Aaron Whitefield, a 229 hitter, but he has been a menace on the base paths, tied for 3rd in the league with 17 runs. And a broken bat ground ball up the middle, sneaks its way through. And Aaron Whitefield with a 1-out single here in the top of the first inning.
Only had one hit in the first 2 games, so that's a great start for Aaron. And as you mentioned, with that speed and cunning on the base paths, see what the Aces choose to do here.
Well, Whitefield as well with 13 stolen bases. That is second in the ABL.
Here's Robbie
And he's
Glendinning.
aboard.
We were talking to him after the game and was a little bit frustrated. A couple of those called third strikes in yesterday's game. Very frustrated with that, what he perceived to be a bit of a small strike zone, which we sort of agreed with as well. But it's a new day. Forget about that. Move on. You got a man on first. Try and push him around.
Here's the pitch home. And popped up.
Tough
This is
play
a tough
here.
play. Wingrove back, and a nice job done by Simmons, the second baseman running near the foul line. So Glendinning retired, and 2 down in the top of the first inning. That brings up Craig Bird. Again, that's not a mistake from us. This is the top of the first inning, even though the Aces are batting in game 1 of this doubleheader. Melbourne is the away team. That's because this is the makeup from 3 weeks ago in Adelaide when these teams lost the finale of that 4-game series. Greg Bird with 7 home runs, 28 RBIs to lead the league. There goes Whitefield. First pitch is a strike, throw down in time, and Whitefield caught stealing. He doesn't like the call, but the inning comes to an end. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left on base, and a nice throw from Nava to end the top of the first. We go to the bottom half. It's the Aces nothing, and the Giants coming up